Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great show with Sean on boxing. This weekend, we got some big fights and some really, really exciting fights that people are anticipating. If you're into women's boxing, obviously, there's a big card for that as well. We'll talk about it briefly, but I'm not Ring IQ, so I'm not that interested. But obviously, there's some big name fighters, and we should at least give them a shout out. And of course, the main fight of the weekend is the future superstar heavyweight from the UK, Moses Atoma, who's taking on Filip Hrgovic, bronze medal Olympian, and obviously top 10 ranked heavyweight. This should be a fantastic fight. Uh, Let me know what you guys think, what's your prediction, and what's your overall outcome for this weekend's fights. So let's just jump into my predictions first. I'll just breach those at the beginning of the video, and then we'll break shit down one by one as we move forward. So, uh, Tim Tszyu did fight earlier this week on a card from obviously Australia, or sorry, not Tim Tszyu, Nikita Tszyu. But this weekend, obviously, the big card is going to be Moses Atama card. On that, Sam Noakes is getting back in the ring after his fight of the year contender, right, against Abdullah Mason, which was a fucking great fight. That fight, way better than people could have anticipated. Very good back and forth fight. Both guys had a lot of success. Um, you got to give Abdullah Mason a lot of credit for coming through such a tough fight to become a world champion, because it was no cherry pick and it was no easy pickings. He was in with a real hungry, undefeated fighter from the UK who brought it and showed a lot of toughness. So obviously he's going to bounce back this weekend. There's a few other fighters on this. Obviously, Vianella, the Italian heavyweight, is going to be getting back in the ring, and he's in with a very solid opponent, as well as I think he's Croatian. Maybe I will let you know as we go forward. Haisa, also another undefeated big heavyweight. And then, of course, the women's card. Mayer, Dubois, obviously Daniel Dubois' sister, uh, Harper, and more are all fighting this weekend as well. And their opponents, who obviously I'll get down to when we talk about it. Lara, the great hard punching 126-pound Mexican fighter who really surprised a lot of people when he became a world champion. He's coming back as well. I don't know what he's been doing over the last while, but obviously he's been sort of off the scene. Martinez is on that card, Lopez, and Cardenas, one of the two fighters that has dropped a Nui in their career. Obviously, Cardenas and Luis Neri are the only two fighters in over 30 professional fights to have successfully dropped a Nui. Both obviously ended up getting knocked out. It's kind of like Tito Trinidad back in the day, or even Miguel Cotto. Early on in fights, they could get dropped, but once they got dropped, they became hungry, focused, and dangerous. And you can look at a lot of Tito Trinidad's early fights. He got dropped in the first or second round and came back and annihilated guys. Basically, that's what Inui does. I thought it was funny that John Boxing came out to make a video calling Inui a glass chin. Oh my God, glass chin. Inui got dropped twice in his whole career. Devin Haney got dropped 4 times in one fight, but Inui's got a glass chin. Racist trolls, man, they can't stop but expose their ridiculousness every time they make a video. But let's get into this. Hollow Ninja, thank you very much. You're a good man, Chopin. God bless you, Sean and chat. Jesus Christ is the Lord. Hollow Ninja says Moses is great. And this is really kind of a crowning, right, for Moses Atoma. Obviously, this is the first real, legit known top 10 fighter he's been in with. A guy with a great chin, great amateur pedigree, never been knocked out. Obviously, he was stopped in the Daniel Dubois fight, but that was mostly based on cut and facial damage, not based on him getting knocked out. For Moses to get in there and take on him, it's going to be a real telling fight, right? So it's going to be really interesting how that fight plays out. Right now, you got to give Hrgovic tons of props because he's saying everything right. The things he says in the interviews really make you sort of think, oh, yeah, what he's saying is true. Like, this may be too early for Moses. Moses might be too young. He might be too untested, right? And these are all reality. But obviously, we're going to find out on that day. And I know how I'm leaning. We'll see how you guys lean moving forward. Rest in peace, Mama Haney. Tank is soft. A lot of people passed this week. Obviously, Haney's mother. I'm not sure the specifics of what happened to her and how she died. I didn't know she was sick. So, obviously, when I first read that Tank Davis was ridiculing her death, I wasn't sure what was going on. I didn't know she was sick. I wasn't sure what was going on until obviously I saw more social media posts about it. But you can't be surprised that Tank Davis said something like this. Tank Davis is a scumbag. You may think he's a great fighter, but as far as a person, he's a scumbag, right? That's what he is, right? It doesn't mean I don't think he's a great fighter and very exciting, but as a person, scumbag. Um, and this is just another example of that. And of course, we had Dolly Parton pass away, a true legend. And of course, Tim Curry. I mean, Tim Curry, also a great legend. People may remember him from the first It movie, and obviously many other great shows that he's been a part of. Uh, A1 says, I'm still on the fence. People are going too far on both sides. I'm seeing people call him a hype job. And in like, what have you seen from him to make you believe that? Well, people call everyone a hype job that they don't like, just as a sign of disrespect. It's like how John and all these guys call people racist, right? And if you're black, they call you a coon or an Uncle Tom. They always come at you with these kind of fucking disingenuous insults because they can't use boxing knowledge to actually fucking validate their points, right? That's the problem with these guys. They can't literally use facts to discredit things people say. Like John will come out and say all kinds of ridiculous shit and use opinion as if it's fact. It's okay that you have that opinion, but it's not fact, and it doesn't mean other people have to agree with you. When I do my pound for pound rankings, everything I base mine on is facts. It's not based on opinion. It's not based on my uh, personal feelings towards fighters. It's literally based on what they have accomplished, who have they beaten, and this dictates where they go on a list, right? Uh, Hollinger says Moses versus Cabial. That's a great fight. Obviously, we don't imagine that happening anytime soon. That would obviously be for a potential unification fight down the road, because obviously Frank Warren has a lot of real killers in his stable. So you would imagine that those would be the first fighters potentially he would fight. And obviously, financially wise, a potential Daniel Dubois versus Moses Atama unification fight in Wembley, that shit's huge, huge, right? American fans who are very, you know, American centric, they might downplay it because they're just fucking ignorant, really ignorant of anything that's not American. But a Daniel Dubois, Moses Atama unification fight in Wembley, that shit is fucking huge. For me, that's a far more intriguing matchup than the current version of Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. And I'm a huge Anthony Joshua fan, but at this point, both of those guys are on their last legs and not the best fighters in the UK, right? I think everybody would expect that Daniel Dubois would fucking beat uh, Tyson Fury just as convincingly as he beat Anthony Joshua, right? You put Wardley, Dubois, Moses Atama in there, three of the top heavyweight fighters in boxing right now, all representing the UK. Man, you could imagine some fucking sensational matchups. And then you throw in Cabial, right? That's what would be great. A little mini tournament. Moses versus Daniel Dubois, Cabial versus uh, Wardley. The winners meet up in an undisputed unification fight. That shit would be fire. Dynamite. If Moses wins, I think they'll set him up versus Dubois. The fight would be a massive in the UK. Exactly. Yeah. Case in point, a UK guy echoing exactly what I said. Yeah. I mean, I think it's the biggest fight in UK boxing. Is it the biggest fight in world boxing? Maybe not, because Americans don't support heavyweight boxing unless they have somebody that they can push into the conversation. See, that's the difference between me, a Canadian boxing fan, and guys like John and a lot of these American centric boxing fans. And I'm sure similar, A1, to UK fans who are far more invested specifically in fighters from their country, right? Whereas me, I don't give a fuck what country fighters come from. I just want to see great elite top fighters facing against each other, right? Because obviously, if I was going to base everything that I support boxing on as Canadian, I wouldn't have much to fucking talk about. Uh, Holland just says biggest clowns of the year so far: Keyshawn Davis, Tank Davis, Clarissa Shields, and Virgil Ortiz. I'm sure you're aware of all the reasons why, man. Shake my fucking head. Well, and that's the problem, right? When you look at that, all American, right? All American. Like this is what American boxing is giving us right now. A lot of this kind of shit, right? A lot of bullshit. A lot of fucking social media talking, a lot of fucking backbiting, but very little fucking quality, very little fucking quality content, right? Unfortunately, because the reality is there's a lot of great fighters in the US, and if they were actually working to actually make great fights, we, the boxing fans, would be the beneficiaries of that. But unfortunately, there's so much fuckery, right? I like Virgil Ortiz, but what he's done, his career, I've spoken about it many times. How I think he's fucking fucked his career up. He ducked Bud Crawford to fight for a WBA regular title. Then he moved up to 154. Fucking, he's fought some good opponents. But why didn't you fight any world champions? Right? It was always this excuse or that excuse, or you're the A side, you don't want to take this guy, this is happening or that's happening. It's like, what the fuck, man? Right? Clarissa Shields, she's just toxic, toxic, and that's why she's being picked up by the hip hop fucking uh, community, and most of them are fucking attacking her and fucking hating on her. Not boxing fans, the hip hop culture, right? Tank Davis has always been fucking toxic, and Keyshawn Davis, another fighter I like a lot. I mean, two of the fighters here I'm a big fan of, Keyshawn and Virgil Ortiz. But unfortunately, Keyshawn, you got exactly what you fucking asked for, and then you blew that shit. And this is the second time you've basically fucked your career up, right? When you were this close to becoming a pound for pound top 10 fighter and one of the biggest names in American boxing, you shoot yourself in the foot time and time again. I mean, fuck, man. The businessman does nothing but fucking bad business. And it's unfortunate because he's a great fighter. Uh, Dubois will quit versus Moses. Moses' speed at his size is absurd. I think he should drop down in weight to about 235. At 250, he's got a bit more fat on him that could potentially be slowing him down or hurting his stamina. But it definitely will probably strengthen up his punch resistance, right? And against these big giant heavyweights, that might be kind of what you're trying to find. Because the good thing about him, unlike AJ, he's not muscle bound, right? Uh, so potentially his muscle endurance is not going to suffer as much as AJ. He's not going to have a lot of the difficulty later in fights by just having his muscles fucking not be able to work as well as they should. That's a good point. All American. Bang, Matteo, what did he have to say? Black Americans think boxing is only a U.S. sport. Shake my head. Well, I can't blame only Black American fans. I mean, I don't know much about Mexican fans and if they focus on non-Mexican fighters or not. They could be very similar, mostly just focusing on fighters from their own country and support system, which I don't hate Black Americans for supporting Black fighters, just like I wouldn't hate Mexicans for supporting Mexican fighters or Japanese people for supporting Japanese fighters. I expect it. But as a real boxing fan, aren't you fucking curious and interested in fighters from around the world? I say this fucking a million times and nothing has changed. When I was a kid, I would work, save money, do this, do that. I'd buy basketball magazines, I'd buy boxing magazines. I would go to the fucking end of the page so I could see the results of who fought the last month. And then I'd look at the rankings, guys, most of whom I never saw fight before. But I read about them winning fights. I knew who had power based on their rankings, what countries they came from. And I would talk about, oh, I'd like to see this guy stylistically fight this guy and this guy fight this guy. And I'd put this whole dream fucking fantasy sort of boxing thing in the back of my magazines by circling and matching up, drawing circles and matching these fighters against one another and predicting who I thought would win. I didn't know who these fighters from Thailand were or fucking from Argentina or wherever they may be from, even the English fighters. You know, being from North America, only a few guys really did we get to see in North America occasionally, right? But I was curious. I'm a boxing fan. I want to know who's the best. So I want to see all these guys. And now, luckily, we live in this era where literally you can fucking see fighters from all around the world. Everyone, right? Like, there's very few boxers in the world today that you couldn't watch at least fucking highlights or, you know, YouTube replays of fights that they did before. You have access to everything, yet you're spoiled and fucking jaded and uninterested in anyone that doesn't look like you. Oh my God. Like, I understand supporting your country, supporting your people, but yeah, as a fan, don't you want to know all the best fighters in the world? Aren't you curious? I am. And I'm fucking almost 60 years old. And still, I'm always trying to find out about the new up and coming guys. Like, think about that kid, Jacob Banks from Denmark, the 168-pound fighter. I knew he beat William Skull. Before that, he was a name on a page. I knew nothing about him. He knocked out William Skull. I thought, fucking great. Because nobody should have to watch William Skull fight ever again. Boring as fuck. Jacob Banks knocked his ass out. Good. We don't need to watch that fucking boring ass Cuban ever again. Then I watched Jacob Banks' last fight on his the telecast that he was on, and fucking that kid is great, 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 right? Like 168-pound fighters, they don't want that smoke because nobody knows who he is. He's an unknown European, and he's fucking probably one of the top 5 fighters in the division. But he's the most unknown out of everyone. Shit's crazy. It's not just black Americans. In the UK, most fans only care about British boxing. And I'm sure it's the same for a lot of Japanese and Mexican boxing fans. Well, I think Japanese, you know, obviously casual fans would be that way. But I think for hardcore fans, they're not. I think they're really, they grew up kind of like me as a Canadian who obviously was attracted to big name American basketball players and boxers, right? Because they were the pinnacle of the sport. So you grow up learning and following them and being a big supporter of them. And I think, you know, obviously if you're not the biggest country as far as dominating a sport, that's kind of where you learn a lot about the sport and where a lot of your focus goes. But obviously now they're really producing a lot of great fighters. So internally they could put a lot of support in guys like Junto and Nui, Kenshiro, and many others. Why not mandate the Funduro fight? Fuck. Yeah. Virgil should be fighting Funduro. Funduro's fighting who? I don't even know who he's fighting. Never heard of him. Don't even know where he's ranked by the WBC. Fucking, how can you come off of a bullshit fucking Keith Thurman fight and fight some unknown fucking dude nobody's ever heard of instead of fighting the guy who's the #1 fighter in your division in Virgil Ortiz? Unless there's collusion between the teams, right? Boots fighting Kelly next. Virgil could have fought Funduro and then Boots for undisputed. Shake my fucking head. That's the dream, right? That's the way it should have been. I mean, nobody can fucking understand how that shit works out. Funduro is fucking the biggest duck in boxing. He's worse than Virgil Ortiz. Virgil at least doesn't have a world title. So he's not in position to really do unification or do these kind of things. But fucking Funduro, typical PBC fucking slob, you know, doing bullshit fights on pay-per-view that nobody's fucking interested in, right? John was just criticizing Golden Boy. How come you're not criticizing Golden Boy for Ortiz fighting Charlo? Because this is the fingerprints of fucking the PBC all over it. Charlo, inactive bullshit fighter wanting a big payday. Virgil Ortiz, a guy who already tried to make a PBC fight with Errol Spence. Like, man, Golden Boy has been basically like this with the PBC pushing bullshit pay-per-views, but this is historically fucking PBC. They always do this. Give us fights nobody asked for, nobody wants. Like David Benavidez versus fucking that Polish kid, or even the unification fight. It's a unification fight, but everybody knew that fucking Jai Opatai was going to fight that guy. And then these slimy bastards fucking tried to slide in and steal the fight. Yeah. Slimy bastards. Bang says, can we blame Virgil Ortiz manager? He is a dope. Well, I mean, you can only blame fucking him so much. Virgil Ortiz has been fucking, he's in control of his career. You put these guys in position to control your career. You need to sign off on fucking everything. So at the end of the day, it's Virgil Ortiz's fault. You put bum ass fucking people around you and you follow their lead and take what they say is fucking the gospel and basically fucking shoot yourself in the foot like Keyshawn Davis. Moses Atama will be too confusing for Hrgovic. That's, I think, as I said on many videos, I kind of think it's going to be like Pacquiao versus Oscar De La Hoya. You know, you got two flat-footed, hard-punching, great chin fighters, really experienced, but against phenomenal, dynamic, fast fucking fighter. And it's just a matter of how much of that can you take? De La Hoya could have went 12 rounds, but frustration, consistently getting beat up from round to round, he just chose to fucking say, fuck it, no mas. And that's the question with Hrgovic. How much of it can he take? Johnny Combat should be out this December. Is that what they're saying? A Merry Christmas release? That's good. John, he brings a bit of character back to the fucking YTBC. Hopefully his grandma has a restraining order on him. Did he do something to his grandma? Is that why he's in jail? He was living with her and he did something to her? That's a very Tank Davis kind of move fucking there. But drugs, alcohol, I mean, you know. I'm Mexican and I watch tape on Kovalov, Kalov, Balo, I can't say his name, Gail Cabrero, Marco Verdi, Beck, Moonbeck. Exactly, like me, right? I watch amateur boxing so I can see these kids early on and see which of them I think potentially is going to be something to pay attention to in the pros. And then once they come to the pros, I fucking go out of my way to try to pay attention to them. I don't know why Marco Verdi is not fighting more. That kid should be far more fucking active than he is. Being a young kid, looks sensational. He needs to get some fucking rounds, man. Like, I don't know what the fuck he's doing to himself. He's just kind of wasting his career away. It's like, I mean, I understand he's getting good opportunities on Canelo undercards and stuff of that nature. Obviously, that's sensational. But you could fight a few more fucking fights in Mexico, right? In the meantime, right? You don't need to get paid billions of dollars every single fight. Hawker Mustang finally fucking got out of bed and fucking made alive. About fucking time. I was thinking I should just fucking block him again. Toy Story 3 is the perfect ending to anything. Still not watching 4 and 5. I don't even know if I saw number 3. To be all honest, I know I saw 1 and 2. They're like 20 fucking years ago, 25 years ago. Since then, I have no idea. I know kids in my class right now, 4 years old, they're talking about Toy Story, but I don't even think they watch the movies. They just know the characters. But it is what it is. So Hawker Mustang, who are you picking? Hrgovic or Moses Atama? I'm surprised John hasn't made a video about Jacob Banks yet. Well, I just mentioned him, so probably he's going to make a video today shitting on him. But once people start talking about him, sure as shit, he's going to be talking about how the Cuban fighter is the best fighter, how he's being fucking ducked. Jacob Banks is a bum, right? It's the same old shit. We know what's going to happen, right? If there's no black American fighter, then you're going to jump on the Cuban's dick because at least he's black. As long as you can fucking disparage and hate on everybody else. Maybe he hasn't heard you talking about him yet. Exactly. Exactly. Wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow there'll be a short 100%. Jacob Banks is a bum. Everybody is picking Moses, right? Yeah, for the most part, I think most people are picking Moses. There's some hardcore Hergovich fans like True School who really wants Hergovich to win so he can say exposed. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. You're going all the way to the UK, hopefully saying it so you could talk about how you've been a big supporter of Hergovich before everybody was talking about him, even though we all saw Hergovich fight in the amateurs. We all saw him fucking win a bronze medal. So Jacob Banks and Gail Cabrera are terrific. Gail Cabrera, have I seen that kid? Do I know him? Let me quickly go to my box rec and check if I recognize his face. What are you doing? Box rec, I'll fucking kill you. I'm human. What are you doing? I hate all this checking if you're human garbage. Of course I'm fucking human. Can't you hear me swear? Cabrera. Super bantamweight. Uh, Richard Dreyer is a massive Hergovich fan too. He made a video saying Hergovich could outbox Itoma like Ali used to do. Come on, Dwyer. The similarities between Hergovich and Ali are zero, except maybe the chin. That's literally the only thing they have in common. Great chin. Footwork? You're going to compare Hergovich, that fucking George Foreman-esque type motherfucker, to Muhammad Ali. What are you, mental? Hand speed? What? Come on, man. The only thing you could maybe say is the same is they got great chins and limited offense, right? All he used to jab in the right hand. Primarily, those are the two punches he threw all the time. Very little, if no body work, very seldom through the left hand. Kind of like Hergovich. But I don't know if fucking that makes him an Ali. L Dog was a huge fan of this Croatian brother. L Dog has been MIA for about a year now, though. I remember L Dog. So this kid, Gail Cabrera, 12-0, 7 KOs, Mexican, 21 years old, still pretty young. Okay. He's moved up to fighting some veteran fighters with a lot of experience, but obviously still a little young to test his mettle against legitimate opponents. But he's only 21, so that makes sense. So obviously Hergovich versus Philip Hergovich versus Itoma. What's this other one? A1, Konstantin Ursu versus Ben Vaughn. See, that's the problem. I do watch UK boxing, but I'm not that familiar with all these guys. Ursu, 15-0, 6 KOs, 26-year-old, fighting Ben Vaughn. 12-2, 4 KOs. Ben Vaughn looks like he's going to get beat. Yes, I think Ursu is going to beat him. But that's not the kind of fight you put on a pay-per-view card, because nobody outside of the UK knows who that fucking guy is. And I'm sure most fucking UK guys don't know who he is. Sam Noakes versus Dennis Baranchek, obviously teammates of Lomachenko and Usyk, so that's a good matchup. Where are we? There's a lot more quality, much better qualities of heavyweights now than the Klitschko era. He keeps referring to a fight Hergovich had against some random journeyman to justify why Hergovich can float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Well, that's like a lot of these dudes that try to hype up their fighters, right? Fighting bums. Yeah, you're supposed to look good against that level of opposition. The question is, what are you going to do when you step up and take on legitimate fighters? We've seen what Hergovich has done when he stepped up to take on legitimate fighters. He fought the Chinese version of George Foreman and was fucking just as flat-footed and fucking stationary as that guy. And that guy's 40 years old, fucking with no gas tank, and he wasn't able to really outwork him. Dwyer used to compare Hrgovic to Vitaly Klitschko. Oh my God. Talk about fucking gaslighting. No doubt the Klitschko's, especially Vlade, would have had a hard time against the new crop of British heavyweights than he did in the era against fat Americans and some decent Europeans like Pulev. Well, let's not go overboard. I mean, he fucking basically uh, was giving Lennox Lewis everything Lennox Lewis could handle. So much so that Lennox retired after the fight and did not want fucking any smoke from him in a rematch. And for me, to be fair, I don't think there's a heavyweight today that's better than my proud Canadian brethren, Lennox Lewis. None of those guys, AJ, Fury, Dubois, Wardley, fucking, I'm not going to say Moses because Moses is a 21-year-old kid with a huge future ahead of him. Hopefully, he can be better than Lennox Lewis. But Lennox Lewis is easily the best Canadian, English, British heavyweight of all time. Easily, without a fucking doubt. And that guy got knocked out multiple times because heavyweight boxing is fucking dangerous, right? You're fighting big dudes that can punch, and one mistake is all it takes. This fight I'm looking forward to. I'm really curious to see how Sam Noakes is going to bounce back. 18-1, 16 KOs. People were really blowing smoke up fucking Sam Noakes' ass. Obviously, he was like the newest version of fucking Ricky Hatton. And his fight versus Abdullah Mason, I don't think it hurt him because as great as he fought against the guy people are talking about being a future pound for pound fighter, I think it puts him in very good position. Obviously, he bounced back with a bum ass opponent in his last fight. Now he's going to take on Dennis Branchek. Branchek, 19-1, not a big power puncher, but obviously a very experienced, high level amateur boxer. Been a pro, a champion in the pros. Obviously, beat Anthony Yegit, Isa Cheniev, fucking Emmanuel Navarrete. He beat him to win the title. And then obviously got blown out by Keyshawn Davis. But Keyshawn Davis is no Sam Noakes. Different style fighter, right? Keyshawn is longer, faster, really potentially a fucking unbelievable fighter. Potentially a pound for pound top fighter. That's why I said especially Vlad, but to be fair to Lennox, he was past it and out of shape against Vitaly. He was the career heaviest in that fight and still managed to win. Yeah, cuts. So I think that fight's going to be good. I think Sam Noakes knocks him out, but I think it's a good opponent. Then, of course, yeah, you got this guy, Nelson Haisa. 24-0, 22 knockouts from fucking Albania. You British dudes, you know all about the fucking Albanians. Albanian mafia fucking running Europe. Sean, who is your favorite worldwide prospect, 21 and under? Name 2 or 3, please. Ryota Tsutsumi. Hayota Tsutsumi's brother. Great fighter. An Uzbek fighter who fights for Golden Boy. I think he's great. And an Uzbek prospect who just became pro. They're Uzbek, so it's hard for me to say their names. But both look like potentially they could be fucking unbelievable fighters moving forward. And I'll shout out the Canadian kid that fought last weekend. That's part of Floyd Mayweather's stable because he's Canadian. So, yeah. So there you go. There's 4. The Japanese, 2 Ukraine, Uzbeks, and 1 Canadian. Floyd Mayweather, future star. So this kid's fighting. Albanian is 41 years old. Pretty fucking old, man, to really make much of a result. He's fighting some undefeated kid who's 14-0, who looks like a easy fight. Thomas Narmo, 14 wins, 14 KOs from Norway. He's definitely a Viking-looking motherfucker. I think Haisa is going to knock out the Norwegian. But, that's all you got on that card. Then, of course, Guido Valinelli is fighting Moses Jolly. You UK fighters, you must know him. Jolly, 12-0, 8 KOs. I think he's going to get knocked out by Guido Vanelli. Guido's a good fighter, solid prospect. I mean, more than a prospect, solid contender. Obviously, a lot of amateur pedigree. Yeah. Machado's in the house. What's up? But overall, that card, I can tell you, I'm not waking up to watch that fucking UK card. And I'm not paying fucking pay per view to see Moses fucking beat Hergovich. I'll check that shit out later. But the fight I am going to watch is going to be from California on Pro Box. This card is fucking dynamite. Lester Martinez against Luka Plantic, the Croatian fighter. Dynamite fight. I mean, Plantic, very solid opponent, 13-0, 10 knockouts. Obviously, very good amateur pedigree, 29 years of age. He's been fighting a lot of good fighters, right? Beat UK fighter Jack Cullen, stopped him in 5 rounds. Obviously, Lester Martinez is a whole different beast. We remember Lester fighting fucking Christian Mbili. I thought he won. Currently 20-0, no losses, 1 draw to Mbili, 16 knockouts. The man from Guatemala, 30 years old, stable with fucking Bud Crawford, just coming off of a sensational victory over Emmanuel Alim, a draw versus Mbili, beat Joshua Jones, Carlos Gongero, and now he's going to be in with Plantic. I think it's a good fight. I think he's going to stop Plantic late. That's my prediction. But the undercard is good too. Solid fight card. Did you see Ring IQ say he likes Mayer versus Cameron as the main event more than Atoma versus Hergovich? Dude must be gay. No, I think what he was trying to say is that he'd rather watch that fight for free than pay fucking $60 in America to watch Moses versus Hergovich on a card that's garbage. And I can relate to that because I'm not going to pay and I'm not going to wake up to watch that fight card. But I'm also not going to wake up to watch fucking Cameron and Mayer fight either. So, even though I think if you talk about a competitive fight, I think the Mayer Cameron fight is probably going to be more competitive than Moses Atoma versus fucking Hergovich. You would have to pay me to watch that woman's fight. That's not a bad woman's fight, though, to be fair, right? Cameron, Katie Taylor, fucking ex-opponent. Then who else is on this card? Luis Torres, Valenzuela, Jordan White, Naji Lopez. That's the fight I was looking for. Naji Lopez, man. He's a good up-and-comer. 16-0, 13 knockouts, 26 years old from Puerto Rico. The kid's been gradually moving up. Pro Box has been doing a good job for him. And now he's fighting this kid, Juan Carrillo. 15-0, 11 knockouts. That should be fire, man. With Lester Martinez versus the Croatian kid, and then fucking Naji Lopez versus this Carrillo kid. Colombian, 33 years old. We know those Colombians, technically a little rough, but power, legitimate. Kind of like the Venezuelans. Not bad, man. And then, of course, we got Cardenas on this card as well. Where are you, Cardenas? There you are. Everybody remembers him. Ramon Cardenas, opponent of Inoue, 27-2, only stopped once by Inoue. 15 knockouts, dropped Inoue, only one of 2 fighters. Obviously got knocked out in 8 rounds by Inoue after coming off of a fucking great win, beating Costa Rican Brian Acosta, an undefeated fighter at the time. Just bounced back with a win against Eric Ayala, stopped him in 5, and now fighting this kid, Leonard Carrillo, 21-1. I've seen that kid fight before. Argentinian. Right? Oh, no, Colombian. I think I saw him against Pacheco. Luis Robles Pacheco. But overall, for a Pro Box card, that shit's fucking dynamite, man. Those 3 fights alone, better than fucking the Moses Atoma Hergovich card. Like, if I was in the UK and I was going to the fight, that would be different. I would pay to go watch it so I could absorb the excitement and be at Moses' fucking crowning fight, right? Which would be sensational. But to pay fucking $60 in North America to watch a fight like that, man, no thanks. Hopefully, we get Inui versus Bam. I don't really want Inui to move up to featherweight. All high risk, low reward fights up there. Well, apparently, they offered Bam $6 million. And it looks like Bam and his team want to go in a different direction, which to me screams fucking duck. When you've been beaking off, talking about how you're all for the fight, you're eager to go to Japan, you love Japan, you fucking can't imagine having your career without fighting Inui. Well, if you don't fight Inui now, you're never going to fight Inui. You're probably going to have to face Junto, which is, by the time you face Junto, probably a more dangerous fucking opponent for Bam and far less money, right? Junto is not the fucking superstar Japanese fighter that Inui is. So you're not going to be guaranteed $6 million plus to go to Japan to fight Junto Nakatani. And I definitely think Junto fucking knocks out Bam Rodriguez at fucking 122. And I hope that fight happens because wouldn't it just piss guys like John off to watch Junto come back, become the undisputed 122-pound fighter, beat guys like fucking Bam Rodriguez, knocking his ass out, a pound for pound top fighter. Yeah, stylistically, I think Junto could be a harder fight for Bam than Inui. Yeah, I think it's obvious. It's obviously a harder fight stylistically. Uh, Bam struggles with tall opponents, especially a lefty with the power that fucking he has. It's like I always, when people talk about Floyd Mayweather getting beat by anybody, the number one guy I pick out because I respect Floyd. I might not like him, but I have nothing but the utmost respect for him as a fighter. Even though dumbasses fucking will continue to preach stupidity. But whenever people talk about who could beat Floyd, the one guy that always is the first person in my mind is Tommy fucking Hitman Hearns. There's no fucking way that Floyd Mayweather beats Tommy Hearns. None. Leonard, maybe. I lean towards Leonard, but okay, maybe I'd give Floyd an opportunity, even though he's smaller, shorter, not as long. I don't think his feet are as fast, right? His hands, I don't think they're as fast. He doesn't have the power. Literally, the only thing he has over Sugar Ray Leonard is defense acumen. But outside of physical things, he has none of the physical advantages over Sugar Ray Leonard. Duran, I favor Duran, but obviously he's got some advantages over Duran. Longer, great defensive fighter. But against Tommy Hearns would fucking destroy Floyd Mayweather. Destroy him. There's no way the style that Floyd Mayweather fights, he stands a chance against Tommy fucking Hearns. And when I look at Bam versus Junto, that's why I talked about that fight fucking for 3 weight divisions. And I've stated in multiple videos, Bam's team literally has ducked Junto Nakatani. Went to divisions where Junto was not. Junto moves up, they move down. Junto moves up, they move back. Junto moves up, they move to that weight division. Always one step behind him, never want to be at the same fucking weight division as him because they know it's a terrible fucking matchup. Terrible. Mayweather would duck Hearns. Sure, for sure. 100% he would duck Hearns. But I'm just saying, if the fight was made, Hearns fucking knocks him out. When I think of Floyd fantasy fights, I only pick ones from weight classes he was at his best in. I don't even think about him versus Hearns. Well, but Hearns was a 147-pound fighter, right? All the big fights that Floyd had were 147. Literally, all the big fights Floyd had were 147. Or Leonard at 147 because it's unfair to him. Okay, fight Duran at 135 then. I still think Duran beats him at 135. Duran is no fucking Corrales and no fucking Castillo. No fucking chance. No fucking way. He would have destroyed both those guys. Those guys were in their best at 147. Floyd was his best at 130, 140. But who did he fight at 140? right? Even the Zab Judah fight, wasn't that at 147 as well? Like, that was his first real legitimate fight. Corrales and Castillo, neither of those guys were fucking pound for pound fighters. And then all the other undefeated no-name fighters that literally didn't fucking go on to do anything that Floyd fought at 135 and 140. Who? Like, literally nobody that went on to fucking do anything sensational. Floyd loves the flat foot, short fighters. Yeah, he had a 72-inch reach. He never fought a fighter with a longer reach than him. Never. That's why he was never going to fight Erislandy Lara for that 154-pound title. Because Lara was all wrong for fucking Floyd. Sean, what do you think of Lara versus Mayweather fight? Yay, Machado, there we go. See, simpatico. Great minds think alike. Yeah, Lara would beat Floyd. Floyd would not be able to beat Lara. If he was going to beat Lara, he'd have to do what Sugar Ray Leonard did to fucking Hearns. He would have to become a front foot fighter and be the aggressive fighter, bringing the fight to Lara, which fucking plays into Lara's hands. But he wasn't going to be a counter puncher beating Lara, who had a longer fucking reach than him. Defensively was also fucking great. There's no chance in hell Floyd ever would have fought fucking Lara. He probably would have fought Golovkin before he fought Lara. Floyd retired for 2 years to avoid Paul Williams and returned after Paul Williams lost. I kept track of the timeline. Yeah, he did. Not just Paul Williams. That 147-pound division was fucking killing it. Kermit Cintron, fucking Shane Mosley, like everybody was fucking hot at that time. Margarito. He waited for those guys to all fight and beat up each other. And when they all had fucking moved on, beaten, not where they once were, then he moved back to the division and then feasted on old fucking guys past their best. Shane Mosley, Cotto, even fucking Pacquiao when he fought him. After Pacquiao got beat by Bradley, after he got knocked out by fucking Marquez. Good call. Mayweather was mandated by the WBC to fight Lara at 154. He told WBC to piss off and let the fans choose between Khan and Maidana. I remember. Yeah, and then the fans picked Khan. And who did he fight? Maidana. Because Maidana was a flat-footed fucking fighter who stood in front of him, brought it to him so he could be a counter-puncher defensive fighter. Khan, a fleet-footed, fast-hand fucking boxer mover who would have forced Floyd to become the front-foot fucking aggressive fighter because he couldn't have been an effective counterpuncher against Khan with his hand speed and foot movement, right? It would have been just the same way he ducked a Devin Alexander fight. Stylistically, Alexander and Khan were just not as easy fucking opponents, right? The same way he didn't fight Lara. Well, he tried to put Errol Spence in the way. John will get bent out of shape, but it's true. Doesn't mean he's not going to beat those guys, but he didn't want to fight those guys because stylistically, they weren't fucking tailor-made for him. Everybody knows that, right? It's not hate towards Floyd. You could look at tons of fighters today who do the exact same thing. One thing you can't criticize Canelo for is doing that, because Canelo has fought tons of dudes who were all wrong for him and fucking lost multiple times in the process. But he fought them. Floyd didn't. Good call. I always thought Prime Lara versus Floyd would be interesting. Lara had ring coverage. The fans chose Khan. The Floyd Mayweather cherry-picked Maidana instead. Exactly. They should have let fucking Broner rematch Maidana, and Floyd should have fought fucking Khan. Floyd versus Khan would have been a far bigger fight financially than Floyd versus Maidana. No one knew who fucking Maidana was. Maidana's literally a fighter Amir Khan fucking beat. Right? Amir Khan had a whole country to support him in fucking the UK. It would have been a way bigger financial fight. Way bigger. But stylistically, not as easy. Corrales was the top 5 pound for pound in Ring Magazine when Floyd beat him. I don't know why, because who did he beat? You tell me who was the best name on his resume when he was fucking pound for pound top 5. Like, John will criticize guys like Junto for being on the pound for pound top 5 list. But Junto beat 8 world champions and is a 3-weight world champion who's been unified. Corrales fucking was a 1-weight world champion whose best win was versus fucking uh, Mikey Garcia's brother, who won a title but didn't do fucking anything. Basically lost the first time he stepped up to take on a legitimate opponent. Like, who did he beat? Let's look right now. Corrales' best win. Diego Corrales. Diego Corrales. Huh? That's not the Diego Corrales I know. Who's this guy with one loss? What are you talking about? Come on, man. Floyd Mayweather Jr. What do you mean no results? Man, AI is dumb as fuck. Look at this shit, man. Like all the Floyd Mayweathers, and you talk about Floyd Mayweather, the promoter, but you don't talk about him as the boxer. Well, what are you talking about? What? Man, BoxRec's fucking mental. It's not touchscreen. Corrales was tailor made for Floyd. Short arms. I think Floyd had a 4-inch reach advantage over Corrales. Short arm power puncher with a bad chin. I was saying back in those days, I had Andrade beating Floyd. Styles make fights. I never thought Diego Corrales was very good. He was very tall guy that fought. Very short guys. He had long legs and T-Rex arms. Exactly, T-Rex arms. Corrales was straight up and down with no special effects, super flat-footed, almost zombie-like style. Fun fighter to watch, but not elite fighter. Correct, Corrales did not have ring coverage. Castillo. Castillo came after Floyd, though. Who did he fight before Floyd? Nobody. Castillo versus Corrales, best win, and went life and death. Yeah, and didn't he get retired or beaten by Castillo in the rematch? No puns intended. Rest in peace, Diego. Yes, we're not hating, just calling things real. So let me go to Canelo, and then I'll go to Floyd from Canelo, and then I'll go fucking to Diego from there. There you go. Simple, simple. Simple Simon was the pieman. Like you think about all these guys in Floyd's resume. Gennaro Hernandez, somebody they praise him for, already got beat and knocked out by fucking Oscar De La Hoya. You notice nobody praises Oscar De La Hoya for being the guy that beat an undefeated Gennaro Hernandez. Then Angel Manfredi, who cares? Justin Juco, who cares? Emmanuel Augustus. Fucking guy ended his career 50-50. Diego Corrales, right? There's two fighters that people know. Uh, Carlos Hernandez, Jesus Chavez, Castillo, Vitorian Sosa, Philip Endu, Demarcus Corley. Come on, man. Henry Brussels, Arturo Gatti. Gatti also already beaten by fucking Oscar De La Hoya and many other fighters. So that's a great fighter? No. Sharmba Mitchell, Floyd fought him. He already had 4 losses. Zab Judah already had 3 losses. Baldemir already had 9 losses. De La Hoya, right? Big fight. So that's 4. Hatton 5. Marquez 6. Mosley passed his best, but 7. Victor Ortiz, bum. Miguel Cotto 8. Guerrero, bum. Alvarez 9. Maidana, okay. Pacquiao 10. 10 really big fighters on his resume, most of whom all came at 147 pounds. Only Castillo, Corrales, and Gennaro Hernandez fucking came before that. I don't think he dropped. I think Floyd battered him, beat him easily. Corrales was a guy like Golovkin and Crawford coming up, beating B-level fighters, doing it in destructive fashion. Bud and GG were pound for pound, but how were they beating the B-level opposition they were fighting? Well, they went on to have fucking super successful fucking runs as champions. Bud Crawford became a multiple weight world champion, unified and undisputed, Golovkin fucking had a long run of 15 title defenses, destroying fighters who'd never been knocked out, getting ducked by every single middleweight champion for fucking 10 years, from fucking Felix Sturm all the way fucking until whoever, Billy Joe Saunders later on in his career. Uh, Corrales, what? What did Corrales do? You say B-level fighters, but okay, let's look. Who are these B-level fighters Corrales beat? So Corrales, before he lost to Floyd Mayweather, he had a shitload of fights. He was fighting guys before Floyd. I'll go down from Floyd. Angel Manfredi. Angel Manfredi was never a world champion, never elite, but he was a Friday night fights type of dude. He was. Justin Juco, Friday night fight. Derek Gainer, fucking hyped because he was part of Roy Jones' stable. What a Friday night fight. John Brown, Friday night fight. Robert Garcia, the champion he won his title from, 32-0. But who did Robert Garcia fight? Bums. Prior to Robert Garcia, he beat a guy 29, 18-1. Some dude 59-7-2. St. Clair, some guy I don't know, Hector Arroyo, 18-5. Benito Rodriguez, 29-30. Right? This is what he was fighting. Like Mexican, California, nobodies. Not B-level fighters. These guys weren't fucking ranked in the top 25. Robert Garcia, world champion. Ended up 34-3, knocked out all 3 times he lost. Got knocked out by Corrales, got knocked out by Ben Taki, got knocked out by Joel Casamayor. Prior to that, who did he beat? His best win, John Molina, beat him by decision. Prior to that, he fought fucking literally nobody. Darnell Pickney, Friday night fighter, Tuesday night fight guy, right? 21-20 when he fought him. Like, these guys were fighting nobody because back then, you weren't held to the same criticism you are today because boxing fans were happy to see guys they like fight. They didn't give a fuck who people were fighting as long as they got to see them fight. And if they fought bum-ass opponents, then they ended up seeing sensational performances from fighters they liked, right? If dudes fucking had undefeated records, nobody knew who they fucking built that record off of. So they didn't care. They just knew he's fighting some unbeaten guy. Ooh, sensational. Now we know everything. You can't get away with fucking anything because people are picking through fucking resumes with a fine-tooth comb. You go back in these guys' resumes and you look. Floyd, I'm not saying he had a bad resume. Floyd was brought up the way fucking top-ranked fighters were brought up. Good names, opposition, guys with experience, past their prime, good name recognition, right? Guys that were good fighters but not elite fighters. First elite fighter he fought fucking retired after he beat him for a world title. And then you fought guys that were limited, man-made for him, short arms, not able to fucking land a jab versus Floyd. Floyd was able to fucking dominate from distance versus Corrales and fucking destroy him, make him look like fucking he was a bum. Castillo, the first fight, obviously gave Floyd a lot of problems. Floyd adapted the second time around and beat him because that's the kind of style Floyd always did well against. And then he fought a bunch of dudes that were mid-tier fighters. None of them went on to do anything. Like, tell me one fighter that went on to do fucking anything. Sharmba Mitchell, fucking Corley, any of them. None of them went on to do fucking anything. Gigi beat Uma. Uma was not B-level. He was a regular champion. And fucking gave Golovkin a great fight. Go watch that fight. Fucking Uma was a monster. He was one of the child soldiers from Africa. I'm rooting for Hrgovic anyway. I ain't no Mayweather fan, just keeping it real. When it comes to this welterweight run and his style in those fights, I have plenty of criticism for that. But as I just stated, all his big fights were welterweight. Literally 3 fights he had outside of welterweight. Hernandez, Corrales, Castillo. Nobody else was fucking even fucking top-level fighter. I love this channel, Sean. You have knowledge, my man. Thank you very much. It's easy to talk to people who also are boxing fans. Boxers have always been padding their records. They could be 50-0 versus nobodies. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Historically, You go back and you look at Sugar Ray Robinson and a lot of these great fighters, and they fought fucking bum ass opponents. But no one gave a fuck. Nobody cared. No one was overly critical. You could fight bum ass opponents for no world title, and that was fine. You're making money, you're staying busy. Pernell Whitaker, after losses, took on fucking horrendous fights. John will shit on Chocolatito Gonzalez because he had one horrendous resume opponent that he fought in a go back to Nicaragua fight, right? And John fucking harps on that as if somehow that discredits everything Chocolatito Gonzalez did in his career. But I can pick out 3 or 4 opponents equally as terrible on Pernell Whitaker's resume. You don't see me shit on Pernell Whitaker and trying to make him out not to be an all-time great fighter because he had fights against 3 or 4 bums on his resume. No. Bounce back fights after things didn't go your way or whatever the situation was. It's normal, right? But some people just love to fucking lie, twist narratives, and be fucking unrealistic. John will go over Floyd's resume, and I picked out 10 legitimate top fucking elite fighters on his resume, and he beat all of them. Sensational. John will fucking scrape to the bottom, trying to find every fucking thing, hype up a guy like Gaddy, even though fuck, he would have hated Gaddy. Would have fucking disrespected him and give him no fucking credit at all. Of course, until he could use him to fucking hype up Floyd Mayweather. Sean, what do you think of Chop Chop Gonzalez, a prospect of Roberto Garcia? He just fought recently, right? I don't think I saw his performance, but I did see a lot of people talking about him afterwards. I don't know if I've actually seen him fight yet. Maybe I will check it out on YouTube. I know he was on the undercard of a fight that just happened recently, right? The first time I ever heard of Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., who is on TV and he's like 84-0. I was amazed that he had 84-0 record and I'd never heard of him. Yeah. I mean, most of those fights were against bum ass Mexican fighters nobody had ever heard of. I was never a Chavez fan. I thought Pernell Whitaker fucking got robbed like crazy against him. Beat him easily, right? Like I knew he would. And I understand why Mexicans loved him, but other people, it's like, dude, he's not bad. But stylistically, if you compare him to like Chocolatito Gonzalez, he's nowhere fucking near as complex and fucking smooth as Roman Gonzalez was. Roman Gonzalez, man, the fucking subtleties he had in what he did. And Chavez was not bad. Great gas tank, hard power, broke people down. When he fucking beat Meldrick Taylor, I was fucking devastated. I love Meldrick Taylor, part of that 1984 team, and that ruined him. And I thought that stoppage was fucking bullshit. But it proved that it was probably the right thing to do. The guy could have been killed, right? Based on how his career fucking just totally declined. Because he was literally the top prospect from that 1984 team, ahead of Breland, Holyfield, fucking Virgil Hill, ahead of Pernell Whitaker, right? Pernell Whitaker was the star out of the Olympics, but Meldrick Taylor was the star fucking early on in the pro career. That hand speed, oh my fucking God. That dude, his hands were fast as fucking crazy. Chop Chop is okay, but short arms of style will have him get hit a lot. He doesn't pivot. Facts. I'm still Wumber. I still wonder how Brian Norman is a bigger win for Haney than Junto was for Inui. Exactly. How does that make fucking sense? You beat a dude whose best win was fucking Giovanni Santillan. What's Giovanni Santillan did since then? Absolutely fuck all. But he destroyed opponents that he fought. Yeah, like Junto Nakatani. Destroyed opponents that he fought. World champion opponents. What world champion opponent did Brian Norman fight? Zero, zilch, nobody. Santillan was for a vacant title. He was never a fucking champion. Like, who did Brian Norman beat that was a fucking legitimate world champion? No one. Junto fought 8. One of them is a unified champion right now. Junto and fucking Inui Biggest fight in Japanese boxing history. Norman and Haney, fucking nobody even watched it. How many fucking views did that fight get? Come on, let's be honest. 70 punches fucking Haney landed. Like after that and after the Ramirez fight, it's no surprise nobody fucking wants to watch Haney fight anymore, right? And you can call it racism, but no, it's just he's boring as fuck. If he was to fight that UK dude that's huge calling him out and they were talking about potentially fighting, he won't land more than 70 punches in that fight either. It'd be 3 fights in a row landing 70 punches. But Shakur is boring. No, Shakur lands twice as many punches as fucking Haney. Twice as much. Chavez was a great boxer, but he was padding his record up in Mexico versus nobodies. Sure, not a great boxer though. Great pressure fighter, right? Great fucking endurance, great chin, two-handed puncher, great body puncher, uh, good working on the inside. Obviously, didn't have length, so he didn't really dominate from the outside. But you go look at his best performance, whatever you may think it is. Maybe against Ramirez, right? That was a great fight. Ramirez, another fucking great Mexican fighter, or the Canadian guy, or sorry, American guy. What's his name? I remember. Oh, I think he just died too, if I'm not mistaken. Who fought who? Somebody that Floyd fought. Um, Castillo. Castillo, Floyd, Stevie Johnson, great fighter, underrated. Uh, fuck, man, who's that guy? Jorge Paez. Um, shit. Who fought fucking? Oh, okay, Pernell Whitaker. Who fought Pernell Whitaker? Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya fought Chavez. Chavez. I'm not a fucking Oscar De La Hoya fan, but I wanted him to beat Chavez. Hector Camacho. I wanted Camacho to win too. Meldrick Taylor. Yes, there it is. Jose Luis Jose Luis Ramirez. When Chavez fought Jose Luis Ramirez, Ramirez was 101 and 6. 101 and 6. Right? This fucking guy. Ended his record 102 and 9. Knocked out once. Knocked out once. And that was probably the Chavez technical knockout in the 11th. Meldrick Taylor's win over McGirt was impressive because Americans hype their boxers. Uh, are you jumping on the Tama bandwagon too? Oh, yes. I love Moses. Moses is going to be the future. Remember, Valero could also get on his toes and box, but a KO artist once he got to Japan and was getting KO bonuses. Oscar De La Hoya was the best Mexican American fighter. Is probably true. But Ramirez, this fight was great. This guy was fucking crazy. Fucking Cornelius Bozo Edwards, Pernell Whitaker. Beat Pernell Whitaker, right? Split decision draw for his first world title. Lost to Pernell in the second fight. I can't remember what I was saying about Chavez, but obviously fighting this guy. Too soon, he hasn't fought anyone. Allen, he's fighting Hrgovic this weekend. The way you're talking now, when he beats Hergovich, you're going to say the same fucking thing you're saying now. Biggest name on Atoma's resume are Shot, White, and Franklin. Well, Franklin wasn't shot because he just went the distance with top level fighters and challenged them. Yet against the Toma, he fucking got destroyed in one of the most sensational uppercut knockouts we've seen since Charlo knocked out fucking Lubin. Tell me I'm lying. Uh, sure, we know Moses is young, but let's put it this way, Alan. Who did Mike Tyson beat before he became a world champion? Tell me one fighter that was a legitimate fighter that Iron Mike Tyson beat before he became a world champion. Just one. Go. Because if you're going to say this, you better keep that same fucking energy. We're waiting, not patiently. Oh, Moses is Noah Tyson. Allen, making a stupid statement doesn't do everything. Who did Tyson beat before he became champion? Quickly, tell us who. Because right now, you look like a fool in front of everybody that's watching right now. You come out, make a stupid statement talking about how Moses ain't Mike Tyson, but you can't tell me one fucking fighter that Mike Tyson fought before he was world champion. Tell me one. Otherwise, you're proving my point. You're going to fucking try to discredit Moses, but dick ride Tyson. Yet Mike Tyson didn't fucking fight a Dillian White before he fought a world champion. No, but look, you're saying he's no fucking Tyson. I'm making comparison. Both young fighters fighting for world titles with people saying, well, he hasn't fought anyone yet. Okay, who did Mike Tyson fight before he won a world title? Because we saw what Mike Tyson went on to do, become undisputed. So before you fucking jump on the I hate fucking Moses Atoma fucking bandwagon, you prove to me why I shouldn't fucking put him in the same fucking level as Mike Tyson. See, you can't even name one fucking fighter. But then you come here and say Moses hasn't fought anyone. Yeah, Mike Tyson didn't fight fucking anyone. Not till he fought Trevor fucking Burbick, a shot fucking old ass fighter who fucking was holding a world title in one of the weakest fucking generations of heavyweight boxing. Far weaker than Moses Atoma's division right now. Far weaker. Because Sean brought up Tyson. And still, Alan, you can't refute my statement. You're the one that came out here and said that Moses Atoma hasn't fought anyone now. And I said, okay, who did Mike Tyson beat before he won a world title? You could say the exact same thing about him. He fought fucking nobody. But you love him. You're defending him. If Hergovich wins, are you going to switch bandwagon, Sean? No. I'm not comparing. I'm making a fucking observation and putting it on you to talk about why you're so quick to fucking disregard and disparage Moses Atoma because he has no resume except an old ass fucking Dillian White and fucking the other dude. But yet when I fucking asked you, who did Mike Tyson fight before he became champion, all of a sudden you start getting defensive. Just tell me one fucking fighter Mike Tyson fought before he fucking was world champion. Just one. I can tell you one. Mitch Green. Mitch Green was no Dillian White. Moses is better defensively than Tyson was at his age. He's also in a fucking more stacked, better heavyweight division than Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was coming into boxing when fucking Michael Spinks had been the undisputed champion, a fucking light heavyweight. You could say, well, Usyk, yeah, Usyk did fucking far more than Michael Spinks, and obviously fought at cruiserweight, not light heavyweight. So not such a big jump between weight classes. Um, I'm not the one getting emotional over Atoma. I'm not emotional. I just wonder why you're so quick to fucking hate on Moses, but when I ask you a simple question, all of a sudden now you're becoming defensive, deflecting, and not able to answer a simple question. You're the one that came out here and tried to hate on me by fucking saying, "Are you jumping on Moses Atoma bandwagon?" Well, you're fucking on the Mike Tyson bandwagon, a dude that got knocked out by a fucking bum in Buster Douglas, a dude that beat zero fucking legitimate fighters before he became world champion. So my question is, who did Mike Tyson fight before he became world champion? Because if you can't name anyone, then maybe you shouldn't be so quick to fucking talk about how Moses Atoma's resume is fucking not great. Everybody knows the 21-year-old kid doesn't have a great resume. He's fucking 21. Who do you think he should have on his fucking resume? But he's stepping up to take on Hrgovic. Hrgovic is fucking a much better fighter than the Mike Tyson fucking opponent, Trevor fucking Berbick. An old ass broken down fighter whose knees were fucking done when Mike Tyson fought him. But okay. What is your prediction for the fight? Late stoppage, Atoma. Hand speed is going to be too much for Hrgovic. Never sobers, not quite an internet bully when he doesn't have 8 people versus 1. All because I said he wasn't fought anyone. And I made a simple fucking comparison. Okay, who did Mike Tyson fight? And still, you've yet to fucking name anyone except deflect and get defensive. All you needed to name was one fighter, but you were unable to do that. So my question stands. Who did Mike Tyson fight before he became world champion? Finally, Slugger Sam gives him that energy he wants and runs away like a scared pup. People were already crowning Mike Tyson too. Kid Dynamite. See, the problem is, every time you say something, you just show how ridiculous your statement was because you can't justify Mike Tyson having no fucking credibility in his career prior to becoming world champion. But yet you want to criticize Moses. Yet they are two fighters in the same fucking boat. Two young prospects who people are fucking blown away by their natural ability, who are getting world title fights early, and people think they're potentially the next superstar in the sport. One's career went the way it went. Too much fame too soon, couldn't handle it. Moses, we don't know what Moses is going to do. Maybe he'll fucking never be a great fighter. Maybe he'll go on to have the same kind of fucking implosion as Mike Tyson. Maybe he'll go on to be recognized as the best fighter in boxing history. We will see. But let the fucking dude fight first before you start coming out with stupid fucking narratives already. If Hrgovic establishes the jab, it will be a long night for Atoma. Yeah, because Moses can't counter that slow fucking jab. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Because, I mean, we know that fucking Hrgovic, with his flat foot stationary, straight in front of you jab, is going to be fucking devastating. Just look how it fucking totally was too much for so many fucking other fighters he fought. Muhammad Ali's resume is massively overinflated too. Not compared to fucking Mike Tyson. Way better than Tyson. He fought Sonny Liston when he was super young and had far fewer fights than Mike Tyson. And Sonny Liston was seen as the best heavyweight in boxing, a dominant monster who was fucking destroying great young fighters who became champions early. In what's his face? Well, I can't think of his name. Uh, what's his name? Heavyweight, young heavyweight, was the youngest heavyweight in boxing history until Mike Tyson fucking beat Liston and then beat fucking Foreman. If you only beat Liston and Foreman in your career, you've done more than 99% of fighters in boxing. Plus an Olympic gold medal. Sean, you don't think Pinklon Thomas and Bone Crusher Smith were good wins for Tyson from that era? Those are two of the better wins he had, as well as Tony Tucker. But Pinklon Thomas, Bone Crusher Smith, Tony Tucker, are they better fighters than Usyk? Are they better fighters than Fury? They're kind of, to me, kind of like Daniel Dubois. Strong fighters, big power, but guys that when they got beat bad. Not bad fighters, but none of those fighters went on to become fucking Hall of Famers. Not Pinklon, not Tony Tucker, not Bone Crusher Smith, not fucking Trevor Burbick. Michael Spinks did, but Michael Spinks was a fucking inactive lightweight who I think boxing establishment robbed Larry Holmes because they didn't want him to break Marciano's record of undefeated record of 50-0. You could chalk that up to racism. See, John, that's the fucking narrative you should be pushing. How boxing establishment didn't want the black fighter to beat the white fighter's fucking record in heavyweight boxing. That would be a legitimate argument. Quite a few pundits are calling for an upset. Name one. Let him fight someone. Yeah, he's fighting Hrgovic. He's fighting Hrgovic. Is that someone or no? I don't think this is a never sober Sean. Huh? Your cuck Sobeys has scalps with what lies. Huh? What are people saying? All these inside stories. I don't know what people are talking about. I think Atama looked nervous at the face-off today. Oh, yes, he's super nervous. That's the end of him. Overconfident Zoomer. What's your take on the Fury AJ drama? Well, to be fair, Matchroom is correct. There's a contract. If the contract said they had to fight in the U.S., they would be fighting in the U.S. Obviously, what he said about the contract saying he's going to fight in the U.K. must be true because nobody is using legal pressure to push them to fight fucking Fury in the U.S. He signed a contract to fight Fury, but the fight's not moving forward because of the location. I mean, nobody thinks the fight should happen in fucking America. Ali is the last person I'd say had an overinflated resume. If anything was inflated above all, it was his skills in the ring, and his resume is unquestionable. I know, but Hawker hates fucking Ali. Ali versus Sonny Liston was a fixed fight. Okay. There was only one fighter in Ali's era that didn't happen and people wanted to see. It was the Cuban heavyweight who was a standout amateur. Felix Savon, or Felix Savon was the other one. Uh, Before Felix Savon, what's his name? Second fight was definitely fixed. The first fight, Liston was trying to take Ali's head off, so I don't know how you think it was fixed. Cassius Clay lost to 190-pound Doug Jones. Hrgovic is the first live body Atoma is facing. Teofimo Stevenson, that's him. Well, that fight was very close to actually happening, right? I think the biggest problem is Cuba, fucking, what's his face? The great dictator. He did not want to see Teofimo Stevenson get beat by American. It's kind of like when Joe Louis fucking fought the German, right? Of course, Hitler didn't want fucking the black American dude to beat the fucking Great Reich. 999. And I don't think fucking Castro wanted fucking Stevenson to get beat by Ali. Hrgovic is not a great boxer either, Sean. He's a bronze medal fucking Olympian. As a heavyweight, what do you mean great boxer? Heavyweight boxers, you cannot compare to lighter weight fighters. That's why a guy like Usyk is doing so well, because he's a smaller fighter with great foot speed, great boxing ability. Heavyweights are different. They're not as mobile. Ali was, which is why he was fucking, you know, Jesus reborn. Because for a heavyweight with his foot speed and hand speed, ability to circle around the ring behind a jab and just fucking dominate at distance, you didn't see that from most heavyweights. Joe Louis didn't wasn't that. He didn't have feet like Ali. Marciano didn't have feet like Ali. Jack Johnson had good feet, but not like Ali. Like you cannot look at a heavyweight from history that moved like Ali. Gene Tunney, great fucking fighter. Undervalued, underappreciated heavyweight because he's white. Did not fucking move like Ali. And he was smaller than Ali. He fought at middleweight against Greb. Uh, you would never see Usyk lose to guys like Doug Jones and Leon Spinks. You can't talk about Leon Spinks. All he was done. Already fucking this was fucked. And he was being used and abused by his promoter. So come on. Come on. I don't hate Ali. You do. You constantly fucking ridicule and hate on him. Come on. The greatest. Ali. What made Ali great was also his showmanship, right? To have a person that was so confident, so well spoken, and of course you had what's his face, the CBS commentator, what's his name, the Jewish guy, who really fucking played the straight guy to Ali's off guy. It was a great show, greatest show in sports. The entire Muhammad Ali era was weak. George Foreman was a fucking monster. How can you say it's weak? Dude came back 20 years later and became a fucking heavyweight champion again in the Mike Tyson fucking era. But Ali's era was weak. Come on. I think Morrison would have stopped Ali. Oh my God, of course you do. That's the guy that got fucking destroyed by fucking Ray Mercer, a flat footed fucking come forward fighter who didn't start fighting until he was fucking like 20 in the fucking military. But that guy fucking knocked the fuck out of Tommy Morrison. Give me a break. Come on. Dudes, man. Your racial fucking hate is too obvious. First of all, we're not even talking about Ali, but somehow he needs to come into the conversation. We were talking about Moses Atoma. Mike Tyson came into the conversation because obviously he was a young fighter with no resume who fucking won a world title early, like Moses in position to do. All he couldn't beat fucking Povetkin. Oh my God, stop. Ah, you dudes. Like, people see this stuff afterwards and they just label you because the things you say, it's easy to label you. Let's stay on topic. We're talking about modern boxing. We're not dredging up fucking boxing from the 60s and 70s when you guys weren't even born. Ali beat a lot of small, unskilled guys. Okay. Now Sean doesn't care about past boxers. No, Alan. We're talking about boxing now that's happening this weekend. See, once again, you expose yourself. Because the reality of the situation is we're talking about Moses Atoma this weekend going for greatness against fucking Hrgovic, a legitimate opponent. But you still haven't told me one fucking legitimate fighter Mike Tyson fought before he was champion. Because you can't. Cassius Clay has done and lost his title eliminator versus 6 foot nothing, 100 pound nine. Oh, Hawker Mustang. You're just as bad of a troll. Who's talking about fucking Ali? What does Ali have to do with this weekend's boxing card? Zero, zilch, nada. Like, you notice you always bring Ali into conversations. Always. Whenever you get an opportunity, you're no different than so many of these other guys. Howard Cosell. Well, you're a little late to fucking put him into the conversation, but yes, Howard Cosell is what I'm talking about. But Howard Cosell, Ali, great fucking team. Great for TV. In that 70s era, great. Cosell was the straight man. Ali was fucking the character. They worked off each other easily. Ali, great boxer, fucking super skilled, great smile, great personality, their chemistry, great opponents, big, dangerous, ugly fucking ape, big Frankenstein monster, right? This is what made Ali fucking world famous. When people talk about Floyd Mayweather being world famous, no, he's not world famous. 1 billion people watched Ali fight George Foreman in Zaire. 1 billion people. I think at that time that was 25% of the global population tuned in to watch Ali beat fucking George Foreman. Because at that time, people felt that George Foreman was literally gonna fucking kill Muhammad Ali. And then George Foreman went on to become a champion when he was fucking 50 years old later, showing you how great he was. Good point. Ray Mercer would have destroyed Ali. Yeah, sure he would have. Larry Holmes beat a fucking shot old version of him. Lennox, you can say stuff, but what you're saying is just fucking bullshit. There's no facts to anything you're stating. You even sort of dismiss the point that there was two versions of Ali, the 60s version and the 70s version. After America basically fucking stopped Ali from representing them and took away the best years of his career, he came back and he was a much different fighter. Not the Ali from the Liston era, but a far different version, right? 2 billion watched the Leon Spinks rematch. Really? I thought the biggest fight in history was Ali versus Foreman. Ali got floored by Frazier, yet you think Morrison's left hook couldn't have flattened him. And he got up. Like, you're comparing Tommy Morrison to fucking Frazier. Tommy Morrison was never a world champion. The thing that made him famous is that he was related to John fucking Wayne. And then he got fucking AIDS and died. Like, nothing boxing related made that dude fucking famous. Oh, and being in a Rocky movie. So the three things that people know him for: John Wayne, a Rocky movie, getting AIDS. Nothing boxing related. Supro, 3 versions. Bruce Gas in the house. Morrison fought away with Foreman, a war. Yeah, with a fucking old George Foreman. An old George Foreman. Well, I don't remember. Who did he beat to get that? It must have been a vacant title. You just said how great George Foreman was. Yes, how great he was. The fact that from the 70s, losing to Ali and dominating everybody else, destroying fucking Norton, destroying Frazier, retiring for 20 years, came back as an old man and still was able to win a fucking world title. I didn't say he was great when he fucking won a world title. He was fucking old. Nobody should have lost to fucking that version of George Foreman. That's why Evander Holyfield beat the fucking snot out of him. Because unlike shit fighters, Evander Holyfield was a great fighter. I'm not saying Mike Tyson was overrated. The problem with Mike Tyson is, like many athletes today, too much fame, too much money. and he couldn't fucking deal with it. And I say all the time, I would probably do the same thing. Hookers and blow, right? And that's what the problem fucking ruined Mike Tyson's career. I don't say Mike Tyson was bad. I was a Holyfield fan, not a Tyson fan, but everybody liked Mike Tyson. He was much must watch TV. But what did he do in his career? Become undisputed, lose to Buster Douglas, and then get beat by fucking Holyfield, get embarrassed by Lennox Lewis, fight a bunch of bum ass opponents that no one gave a fuck about, making big money, but he wasn't even interested in the sport anymore. I mean, come on. He beat Moore, who started at light heavyweight. Yeah. He became a champion when at that age he shouldn't have been, but he did because that era was not that strong, obviously. Sir Henry Cooper actually knocked out Muhammad Ali, but the fight was also fixed. Well, no, he didn't knock him out. He fought him twice, dropped him once. How did he knock him out if he got up and ended up stopping Cooper on cuts, becoming undisputed one belt at a time? Who else did that? Who else did that? As heavyweight, you mean? Or in boxing? It's not hard to become undisputed by beating the guys he beat when you have all the money and the networks fucking will pay to make the fights. That's what happened. Tyson was much must watch TV. So all those guys were getting career high paydays to fucking get knocked out by Mike Tyson. Of course they were going to take those fights. How could they not? We understand, Hawker Mustang. You don't like fucking Ali. But what does that have to do with Moses Atoma becoming the next great superstar in boxing? Literally nothing. It's just you jumping on your anti Muhammad Ali soapbox for like the 140th time on a fucking podcast. I think Prime Lennox Lewis goes through the light punching Ali like fire through dead bush. Well, but we saw Lennox Lewis get knocked out several times, and he never fought a fighter that could move or had the speed of Ali. He could have knocked him out. Lennox Lewis, I think, is one of the best heavyweights of all time. Go Canada. Tommy Morrison would go undefeated in Muhammad Ali's era versus, no, he would have got knocked out by George Foreman. He was in a war with George Foreman at fucking 40 something years old. Prime young George Foreman would have fucking knocked Tommy Morrison out inside fucking 2 rounds. The same way fucking Ray Mercer knocked out fucking Tommy Morrison. Oh my God, he's very hittable. In the 60s, he wasn't very hittable. In the 70s, when he fucking was flat footed and didn't move, yeah, he wasn't the same fighter. But you are not savvy enough with boxing to understand the two versions of Ali and how 4 years out of the game fucking basically ruined his career. We ended up losing the best 4 years, the prime years of his fucking career. But okay, it's fine. Michael Bent knocked him out. Michael Bent knocked out who? Tommy Morrison? Didn't Henry Cooper drop Prime Ali? He did drop him. Henry Cooper, one of the best left hands in boxing. One of the most underrated fucking fighters ever. But unfortunately for him, the dude would get fucking cut from a slap in the head. Ali was a great talker. Muhammad Ali had great support from the media. Well, not from the media as a whole, but from Howard Cosell, who really went out of his way to help Ali during that whole era. Frazier as well, who gave Ali money to survive. His era is looked at being great because he struggled with all the top guys. He didn't struggle with all the top guys. Once again, Hawker, 2 eras, the 60s, the 70s, 4 years in between where he wasn't allowed to box. Came back a completely different fighter. You could ignore that, but that's the difference between being legitimate and being fucking a guy who's trying to push a narrative. Morrison was the Amir Khan of the heavyweight division. Hit the canvas every time you hit him. Exactly. You can say the same thing about Tyson. Two eras. Pre and listen to what you just said, fucking Alan. Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas before he went to prison. Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas before he went to prison. Nobody fucking thinks Mike Tyson post prison was fucking prime Mike Tyson when he fought fucking Lennox Lewis and fucking Holyfield. We know he wasn't the same. That's why I picked Holyfield to beat him. Even though Holyfield had fucking heart issues, was fucking on roids, fucking going through fucking all kinds of issues. Nobody fucking make that comparison. Yes, but that was after Rooney. Rooney wasn't the fucking main trainer. It was Cuss. Rooney just fucking was an assistant who didn't like Mike Tyson. So, of course, their fucking career was never going to last. The problem with Mike, like tons of athletes today, too much money, too much success, too young. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Cuss was too old. Okay. Holyfield was highly overrated. Oh my God. Fucking Holyfield. Dude, just admit you're a fucking hater. After prison, Tyson had no guidance. Cuss gone, Rooney gone, Clayton and Jacobs gone. He was a lost child. Exactly. And just being used because of his name and how people could milk him for money. Kind of the same thing that happened to Ali later in his career after fucking mentally he was not the same. And people kept him fighting way too long, right? Because they knew he had name recognition and they could use it and market off of him. But this does not impact the conversation, which was about Moses Atoma and how when Moses beats fucking Hergovich, he's going to be the new superstar heavyweight in boxing. And obviously, Allen is going to fucking hate that shit. Probably because Moses is not American. Holyfield did to Douglas is what Tyson couldn't do. Destroy a C-level fighter in Douglas. Exactly. Bert Cooper dropped Holyfield. Getting dropped, what does that prove exactly? I don't understand your point. So Holyfield got dropped by Bert Cooper. And who won the fight? Maybe you should focus on the main point. Holyfield won the fight. Bert Cooper lost. Getting dropped by a hard puncher like Bert Cooper in heavyweight boxing means what? A small journeyman. Holyfield wasn't a big heavyweight. That was the whole problem about him becoming a heavyweight. He was small for the heavyweight division. He was a cruiserweight who moved up and was smaller than the top elite fighters that he had to face. Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe, monsters in comparison to fucking Evander Holyfield. Morrison, Tucker, right? Small heavyweight. 4-time heavyweight champion. I like Ali. I just don't like people telling me he's the greatest, most unbeatable heavyweight of all time. Well, I think what you miss, Hawker, is people are kind of referring to those 4 years when we didn't get to see Mike Tyson fight because the US government fucking basically ruined his career. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see prime era of Tyson. We saw pre when literally nobody could beat him, when he couldn't get hit. And then we missed out on that whole point and then saw an old version who no longer could move, but was tough, smart, and resilient enough to still beat elite top level fighters in boxing, even though he still wasn't at his best. So when people are talking about an all elite that was unbeatable and the greatest, that's the version they're talking about. Flies like a butterfly, stings like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. Not the Frazier, Norton, Foreman version. Cuss passed in 85. Tyson was just fine after him. Ross the boss. I like Canelo Alvarez, but if you tell me he's the greatest unbeatable boxer of all time, I'm going to call Canelo overrated just like Ali. In a fucking video where we're not talking about Ali and we're talking about Moses Atoma's next fight, or we're talking about Anui, you're going to fucking go on a soapbox rampage about how Canelo Alvarez is not the greatest of all time and his career is overrated? Really? Okay. It just seems like uh, you are trying to direct the conversation, kind of like David Benavides fans when they come here try to do. Direct the conversation about David Benavides when he's not even the person we're talking about. See, think about the conversation. Before you started this, there was double figure people on the live, and now there's 6, which means 5 or 6 people left because of the direction the video went. So Atoma, who has never gone past 6 rounds, is going to get a late stoppage. That's my prediction. What's your prediction, Alan? I agree, Bruce. Let us know the wise words of Alan, who couldn't tell us one fighter Mike Tyson fought before he became heavyweight champion. So now tell us what Moses Atoma and Hrgovic is going to befall us. What are we going to see? Help us make our prediction this weekend. Hrgovic late if Atoma can't hurt him. I'm so surprised that you're picking Hrgovic to win. I could never have imagined such a prediction. So you think Hrgovic is going to stop Moses Atoma late because Moses can't hurt him? Okay. Anything is possible. The only way possible for Hrgovic to win is probably if Moses Atoma can't fucking hurt him at all, runs out of gas, and then fucking Hrgovic fucking beats him late because he's fucking got nothing left. Hrgovic has fought much better opposition. They got a mutual opponent who went the distance with Hrgovic, got knocked out in 2 rounds by Moses. Most of those great opponents that Hrgovic fought, he lost to. So I see Hrgovic getting busted up and stopped by KO round 7. Look, Bruce, same as me. I said 8 rounds. He said 7. Busted up, cuts, stopped the same way he lost to fucking Daniel Dubois. Usyk would make Muhammad Ali look like an amateur. Now you're comparing a fighter from 1968 to fucking 2024, 25. Okay. And what you say is just an opinion because obviously there's no way you could justify it or factually fucking base it. But okay. He's been leaking in his last few fights. Yeah. Dude fucking got tons of scar tissue in his eyes. He's going to fucking break open within the first 3 rounds. The hand speed is just going to carve him up. And by the time he gets to 7, 8 rounds, his team is going to throw in the corner because it's going to be like fucking Pacquiao versus fucking Oscar De La Hoya. Maybe he's not knocking him out, but he's carving him up, beating the crap out of him, hitting him with 6-punch combinations, and fucking Hrgovic just doesn't know what to do. And at that point, they just say, enough's enough. We don't need to make us suffer anymore. And that will be the end. And then we'll have, and the new future superstar of heavyweight boxing, Moses Atoma. And then the biggest fight to make in 2027, Moses versus Daniel Dubois unification fight. Apparently, Daniel is going to fight Wardley in a rematch. That's going to be fucking dynamite too. Don't be surprised if Wardley beats Daniel Dubois in the rematch. But fuck, it don't matter who Moses fights next. If it's Wardley or Daniel Dubois, Wembley Stadium in the UK, huge fucking fight. Huge. Hrgovic's weakness has been his gas tank. Abel Sanchez is curing that. But gas tank gonna mean nothing when his fucking face is bleeding all over the fucking ring. Wardley is absolute trap. Oh my god. This dude got nothing but fucking negativity to say about everybody. I live in hell, Atsu, and it turns you into an animal. Well, make sure that your fucking lips don't stop fucking yapping. That's for sure. I don't know about an animal other side of that, but okay. Wardley was super competitive. It was a great fight between him and Dan Dubois. The rematch is going to be sensational. Two hard punching fucking big men going at it. The winner gets Moses Atoma, who's going to become a unified champion. And when he steps up and takes on fucking the German monster, now we're getting to some fucking testy fucking ground. Because Cabial is going to be a fucking real test. And Moses also has to fight the Cuban. But that Cuban was beat by Cabial, knocked out and destroyed by Cabial. So Joseph Parker had his suspension lifted, so he's another player to watch. Yeah, but he's levels below those guys. Wardy's a one-punch pony. Once you neutralize that, he's lost. Yeah, that may be true. But in heavyweight boxing, sometimes all it takes is being a one-punch pony. Ask fucking Deontay Wilder. He capitalized off of that shit for a long time. Parker, too old now. Quoggs is my dad, and BDA is sober as dad. He's only 34. 34, but you know, he had his peak, and unfortunately, he got beat just when he was at the point where he could really do some damage. He's not going to get better, especially being fucking off. You know, what made him good is that he was really being really active, and that really benefited him. Now, being inactive, you know, yeah, I think, you know, first time he fights one of these guys, he's going to get beat, whether it's Dubois, Wardley, Hrgovic, or maybe he'll be lucky enough to get fucking Cabial. Cabial needs an opponent, right? So maybe Parker will jump at him. I would love that. Parker should jump for Cabial. He could get a world title if he beats Cabial, become a two-time heavyweight champion. But chances are he won't go fucking 6 rounds versus Cabial. Cabial is a fucking beast. Beast. I would love to see Moses versus him, though. I'd like to see Dubois versus him. I'd like to see Wardley versus him. Literally, if you put any of those 4 fighters together, I think you got sensational fight. As we said earlier, what would be a great sort of setup would be Moses versus Daniel Dubois, Cabial versus Wardley, and then the winners meet for undisputed. Oh, sorry, he's still got the Russian kid, but he's not a player at all. Good point, but what makes the division so exciting? Yeah, don't get me wrong. If Parker wants to fight, he should fight the WBA champion. What's his face? Gassiev. That's potentially a winnable fight. You need to be a mover puncher to beat Cabial. Yes, you do, which is what fucking Moses is. Hrgovic has always looked slow to me. Super slow. Super slow. But that's the thing when you get to these big heavyweights, right? Fucking, they're big, but a lot of them fucking have slow feet, slow hands. And that's why I say this fight to me is going to look like Pacquiao versus De La Hoya, right? De La Hoya is not shit. He's not a bum. He's a good fighter. His chin was able to deal with Pacquiao's power. But unfortunately, Pacquiao's speed was too much. What was Freddie Roach's great line? He can't handle your speed, son. That's what fucking Moses Corner is going to say to Moses after round 3. He can't handle your speed, son. Anyone who thinks Atoma is going to blast through Hergovich is smoking something. I don't think you're fucking listening, Alan. Like, I think we've been very clear on how the fight's going to go. And I don't think anybody fucking mentioned Hergovich getting blasted. But I guess that altitude making you a little slow on the uptake there, buddy. Maybe you need to move down to fucking flatter land. I heard rumors of Gassiev talking to Big Baby Miller for a fight in the US. That's true. That fight was being talked about. I don't really see how Gassiev is going to beat fucking Big Baby. Dubois needed headbutts to beat him. To beat who? Wardley or Hergovich? Thanks to Danny Dubois' headbutts, Hergovich has shitloads of fucking scar tissue on his eyes now. So it shouldn't be that hard for Moses to cut that shit open again. You're not the only one dick riding Atoma. There are fools who think he will KO Hergovich in 2. Yeah, but everybody's entitled to an opinion. You just make opinions like that and you're you're just being a fanboy because anybody that knows Hergovich knows that he's a granite chinned motherfucker. So you can't imagine him getting pieced up in 2 rounds like that. Not that it couldn't happen, but it ain't fucking likely. It ain't likely. I don't see too many people making that prediction. But anything's possible. Ooh, excuse me. Goddamn. Who was the guy that beat the great American prospect? Well, Torres got beat by the Cuban Sanchez, but who beat Big Baby? Not Miller. Big Baby who? Oh, the African. What's his face? Beat him. What happened to him? He was a player, and then he took short notice fight, got blasted in 1 or 2 rounds, and literally fucking has fallen off the map. He looked good. Fast hands for a big boy. Either way, this is the most attention the heavyweight division has gotten since Usyk Fury fights. Effie Ajagba. No, not Effie Ajagba. The British African fighter. Look, now you're bringing up Ali again, Hawker Mustang. Look at you. Dude, man. Shake yourself. What what are you talking about? To be fair, back then fighters were retiring much earlier than they are now. Dudes aren't fighting into their 40s. Most people retired back then like 33, 34. So 29 when you became champion at like 21 and then had 4 years ripped away from your career, right? That's what you continue to still ignore. 4 years of prime ripped away from your career where you couldn't fight, couldn't earn money. And obviously, when you came back, you were not the same fighter anymore. Right? Like, I understand if you acknowledge that, it kind of shoots a fucking hole in your whole narrative. So you just want to gloss over it, ignore it, act like fucking Ali from the 60s and the 70s was the exact same guy and there was no difference between them. But that's the problem with your narrative. Anybody that actually follows boxing knows that you're full of shit. Ali made a stand that he didn't think fucking he should support a country invading another country in a bullshit political war. And he wasn't the only person at that time that felt that way. Everybody under fucking 35 years of age felt that way. Only fucking the people that were baby boomer 50-year-olds and that era, post World War II, somehow jumped right on the war machine bandwagon again. He didn't think he was special. He was making a fucking statement, and that's why many people respect him for what he did. Same reason lots of people are critical of Joe Louis, because unlike Ali, Joe Louis fucking was a whipping boy for the white man, right? A guy that wouldn't make a stand, a guy that just fucking went along to get along. Ali didn't do that. And sure, it hurt his career, but that's why people respect him, because he made a statement. He could have went along to get along. He wouldn't have had to fucking go to Vietnam. He would have fucking entertained troops, doing fucking sparring session and fucking things in front of the troops, talking on the mic with Howard Cosell, doing things of that nature, right? He wouldn't have had to go to war, just like Joe Louis didn't. He knew that. They told him that. He knew exactly what was going on. But he chose to make a statement. So either you don't like it and you disagree with him, which is fine, or you respect the fact that he had a voice and he wanted to use it, right? Especially when he did it. In that time, the 60s and 70s, there was a lot of people being killed by the government at that time. A lot of famous people, musicians, people of substance. Well, you say they took it easy on him. They ruined his fucking career. Going from being a millionaire to have to borrowing money from fucking Joe Frazier. Like, you know, that's humbling and not something fucking you could imagine or even hope for. Makes it even worse. Uh, I mean, I still don't understand how we got on this Ali topic, but okay, it is what it is. Uh, this is supposed to be a live talking about this weekend's fights, but I guess people want to just push narratives and hate. So I'm going to call it a night. Thanks, everyone, for jumping in. Obviously, we do have a big fight this weekend. I guess we'll have more to talk about on Monday when Moses proves that he is great and the next superstar heavyweight in boxing. Only 4% of draft dodgers were convicted, so that everyone else who went to jail narrative is false, Alan. Some white American guy who's making boxing videos the other day, he had Muhammad Ali rated #1. He said Vlad and Usyk are just outside the top 20. Most people don't know crap about boxing. C'est la vie. But thanks everyone for jumping in. We'll be talking about the results later this week. Obviously, as I said, I'm going to be watching the Pro Box fight card this weekend. I think it costs $5 or something. I can muster that up, but I'm not going to wake up fucking at 2:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to pay money to watch a shit card where the only fight are interesting is two fights in the whole card. But we'll talk about it later this week. Cheers, everybody. Have a good one. Peace out. And dudes, take a breath. Life is not so bad. Tomorrow's Friday for me.